Hello and welcome everybody to HayPro Day. Today we are just looking at Team LiquidHayprO's games, some of his games that I've never ever seen before. They were played on ladder and Team Liquid just was nice enough to put a whole bunch of them online for me to watch and view and now cast for you guys. So we're going to be looking at one. We already looked at a ZVT against Empire's Happy, and now we're going to be looking at a ZVP against mouzMaNa. Spawning here in the top right position of Shakuras Plateau as the blue Zerg playing from Team Liquid, we have HayPro. Spawning in the top left position as the red Terran playing from Team mouzSports, we have mouzMaNa. Now mouzMaNa's a very good Protoss, pretty well known for doing some unorthodox things from time to time. He's known to do some really screwy stuff. He can sometimes put out some really good tournament results because of it, just because sometimes some of his builds are just like so off the wall and screwy, like you just don't expect it sometimes. But he's pretty good at playing standard as well, but I would say that he's very good at almost White Raw style tactics where he does lots of warp prism use, or you'll see him use motherships sometimes. You just see him do some screwy things from time to time. So we're going to have to see if HayPro is going to be able to take care of that today and deal with mouzMaNa. Now, like I said, in our game against Happy, HayPro, generally a very macro-oriented player, likes to play very well with macro, very strong macro, lots and lots of creep spread all over the map, and gonna have to see if that suits him well. This game looks like mouzMaNa's gonna be going for a Forge Fast Expand. There are generally several responses you can go for as a Zerg player when you see this Forge Fast Expand start to go down. You can either take that fast expansion, then cut drones, throw down a Roach Warren, get up one Gas Geyser, get up lots and lots of Roaches and Lings, and go for one big attack. It's a little bit all-in-ish, but a lot of times it can be very strong just because your opponent's gateways are going to be so delayed. You can usually get him before he's up and running. The other option is to just take an extremely fast 3 bases and then just play a macro game out from there, since you are then 1 base ahead of your opponent, just because your opponent really can't put a whole lot of pressure. If he gets up this early Nexus, you're going to see that it's going to be a while before he's even able to produce a single Stalker. It's going to be quite a while. And that actually is a very important thing to note, because there is one other thing that a lot of lower level players don't do because they're a little bit scared, and maybe their map control or their mini-map watching isn't quite on point, but think about this. If your opponent goes for Forge Fast Expand and you scout that it's a Forge Fast Expand, you can pretty much leave this Overlord in their base for quite a while. You just need to keep it out of range of those Photon Cannons, which is exactly what HayPro is going to do as he takes his natural expansion, by the way. And then he's just going to let this Overlord hang out. And a lot of players will kind of fool themselves into thinking that their opponent can do more than they really can. Say like, oh my god, I need to get that Overlord out of there ASAP, just because, well, it's gonna die, it's in his base. Like, I don't like having my units all exposed and in his base. But if you think about it, as long as you check on it every now and then, you get a full scout. You get to see what your opponent is doing until like probably the 6-minute mark or so. Let's see when. I'm actually going to check and see when that actually comes up, because we're going to see that the gateway just completed. Cybernetics core is going down. It takes 50 seconds to complete. We're at the 4-minute and 45-second mark right now. And before a Stalker can come out, Stalkers are going to take an additional 42 seconds once the Cybernetics core is done, if he decides to put 125 minerals and 50 Vespene into it. I mean, that's kind of a long time before your opponent's going to have anything that can shoot up. And think about it. In what other matchup do you get a free scout on your opponent's base until the 6-minute mark? No other matchup. When else? When else do you get to just see everything your opponent is doing until the 6-minute and 30-second mark? I mean, that's really good, right? So look at this. HayPro is taking full advantage. He's not taking any gas yet, because why? He's not going to be aggressive at all. He's just going to get up lots and lots of drones. He's going to get 3 bases up and running really fast, and he's going to have a super good econ. And look, just now, we're getting a chrono boosted Stalker out, and look at that. It's going to be at about the 6-minute mark, and look at that. Plenty of time to get your Overlords out of that base. Once he sees that gateway producing units, look at that. Pulling that Overlord out of the base with so much time to spare. And now that Stalker's going to come up here, check for that Overlord, and see that it is long gone, and he is not going to be able to get that at all. Another Overlord already in position to get a scout later on. He's going to want to send that in here in just a little bit, just to check on whether his opponent is going for any kind of Stargate tech. We're most likely going to see a few Zerglings come up here very soon, just to be able to check the front. Oh, there they are. 4 Zerglings already out. You want to be able to use the Zerglings to keep poking up at the front and see what kind of tech buildings are here. And if in about a minute or so, at about the 7-minute mark, if you still see nothing here, then you want to send this Overlord in, see if there's a Stargate in there, anything that you have to worry about, and then just kind of deal with it accordingly. Because when you try to choose to play like this defensive way, as a Zerg player, you want to be spending a lot of your... Whoa, I got a little bit of lag there. I don't know if you guys saw that, but that was nuts. You want to be spending all of your larva on getting lots and lots and lots of drones up, because look, what does mouzMaNa have right now in terms of units right now? He's got a sentry there. There's a stalker here somewhere. There's that Overlord going in around the 7-minute mark. And we see that stalker going to be taking out that Overlord, but that's what HayPro intended. That's exactly what he wants. But there's one stalker and one sentry out right now. 2 sentries. There are 2 sentries and a stalker out right now, and that is all Mana has. Mana is not going to be pushing out any time soon, so you don't need any more Zerglings. Just get lots and lots of drones. Look at this. Fully saturated at the main, fully saturated at the natural, getting the gas geysers now. And it looks like he's going to start to tech up. We do see Zergling speed now on the way. Lair, a lot of people may look at this Zergling speed and say, whoa, that's a super late Zergling speed, but no. Opponent really doesn't have anything to attack with, so what do we need Zergling speed for? Let's use that 100 gas, 100 minerals instead to get our Lair and get up more drones. Why not? We see 2 more gas geysers now going up here for HayPro. Evolution Chamber is now down. He is continuing to tech. That is one thing you want to do while you're getting your drones up. You want to continue to get up lots and lots of tech like that Lair. Start to get up those upgrades. We do see that +1 Carapace is now on the way, and that's actually a good choice there by HayPro. Not as good as in ZVP. And I should actually mention that if you don't go on Team Liquid frequently, there's actually a really, really ridiculously good article that went up about a week ago that is called Critical Upgrades, and you guys should check that out definitely, because it is ridiculously good. It tells you all the upgrades. For example, the fact that Zerglings, once you get +1 Carapace, can't get one-shotted by Siege Tanks anymore. Lots and lots of cool statistics like that, but I'm going to jump right back into this game right now because Mana has just dropped off 4 sentries and has force fielded off the ramp to HayPro's main, and this is going to be really difficult for HayPro to deal with. He does have a Spire going down right now, and I think that is going to force a cancel on that as he's continuing to keep all of these sentries here. Oh, lots of Zerglings now coming in, trying to get the sentries. Managed to pick off 1 sentry. Nice pick off there by HayPro. Wants to focus those sentries down. Wants to be very careful with these. Ooh, I actually really like this by HayPro. What he's trying to do is he's trying to prevent these sentries from being dropped down again so that all these Zerglings from the low ground can actually go up, but he's not. Mana was actually able to keep getting a sentry down there, and he's continuing to force field that ramp, and that is going to be so hard for HayPro to deal with right now. I really like how he dealt with it, though. That's actually a really smart move there, but it looks like the Spire is going to go down. Whoa! It might actually survive, but the Lair is being focused down right now. Lots and lots of damage being dealt. Lots of Zealots up right now. Sentry still down at this lower ramp, continuing to force field that ramp off so well. Mana is so good right now with his sentry timing, doing so much damage, and the Spire goes down, and oh no, the Lair goes down as well. We do see that another Spire has already been started here by HayPro, as well as another Lair, as HayPro pretty much just wants to save his drones right now. There we go. Zergling's finally getting up the ramp, trying to take out the rest of these. Oh no, more drones being taken down right now. These Zealots still continuing to wreck on his opponent right now. Back in the base of Mana, we do see that the robotics facility is down, not producing any Colossi or anything else quite yet, but man, that did us so much damage right now. We do see that Mutalisks are finally out on the field right now, going to be cleaning this up here, but HayPro took a lot of damage. We do see that a pylon going to be going down here on the low ground here for Mana as well. The only thing that HayPro does have in his favor right now is that he has his 4th base up and running. If we check out the harvester count, it is about even right now. Mana was able to take out 14 workers in that exchange. If HayPro was able to save more workers, he would be way up in the economy right now, but as we can see, he is down a little bit in that economy, and now Mana has managed to macro up quite a bit of an army here back at his base. If we check in the base of Mana, we can see that there are currently, looks like about 6 gateways currently up. We do see that the Twilight Council is now researching that blink. We do see +2 ground weapons now on the way, and Mana now going to be taking his 3rd, just because he knows HayPro is going to be playing a little bit more defensive there, retaking that hatchery at the top here. Not a whole lot he can do right now to be too aggressive towards his opponent. Now, what was I saying before? Oh, the critical upgrades thing. The critical upgrade. Oh my god, go check out that article. That article is actually amazingly good. It's really, really cool. There's all kinds of cool stuff here. I'll read you a couple of the things from it right now. In ZVP, you want to, with your Mutalisks, you want to prioritize +1 Carapace because it'll allow you to sustain 2 more shots from Stalkers and 4 more from Sentries. So that actually helps your Mutalisks a lot more than +1 Flyer damage does against when you're going up against Stalkers. Another thing for Protoss players, it's actually more beneficial to get +1 shield armor than it is to get +1 ground attack here for Stalkers, because if you get +1 shield armor against Mutalisks, you'll actually take 1 extra hit from Mutalisks from their shields, and because the Glaive Worm actually bounces between 3 different targets, it actually reduces that damage with every single bounce, so it's actually much more useful to get that shield damage upgrades. Whoa, now HayPro actually starting to take down some destructible rocks here, wants to be ready to go for counterattacks here. I don't know why he doesn't just fully take him down, but he's trying to be a little bit aggressive here, trying to do some damage to his opponent. But Mana does have photon cannons up in his main, going to be establishing this third here, starting to produce Archons. We do see that Psystorm is now being researched here for Mana. There's that Templar Archives researching, almost finishing up that Psystorm upgrade. We do see that it looks like there is going to be a drop going down here at the lower base, but it looks like that's going to be cleaned up here by HayPro. In the meantime, there's another Warp Prism continuing to be very aggressive here, and this is exactly what Mana likes to do. He loves to stretch his opponent all over the place, continue to be very aggressive with Warp Prism, harass all over the place, can be very strong, very hard to deal with. We see that a Roach Warren is now down for HayPro, but he's not actually producing anything. If we check out his upgrades right now, we can see that melee attacks is just about to finish, level 1 that is, as well as +1 fire attacks just now finishing as well. So HayPro actually really down in the upgrade game right now. I think that that one Warp Prism drop in the main right now really did a lot of damage to HayPro. That slowed down his entire build right now. +1 melee attacks just finishing, +1 flyer attacks also just now finishing, but he is way down in upgrades right now. Mana is currently +2, +1 in upgrades. We do see that +3 ground weapons is currently on the way here for Mana. He's got a good number of Archons. He's got 2 Archons here, which are going to be very good against Ling Muta with their splash damage, going to be very strong, and these Stalkers also going to be very strong against all those Mutalisks. We do see lots of Banelings now being produced here for HayPro as the forces of Mana are now coming down here. We do have a couple of High Templar in the mix with good Psystorms. This could be very devastating. Oh, beautiful force fields going down here by Mana as he force fields all of the ground forces of HayPro into that small little area, and then Psystorms on either side of it so that all the units that come through there just all take damage from those Psystorms. As we can see, there was so much damage done to these Mutalisks right now. These Mutalisks are all really low. Another couple of Psystorms will deal so much damage to these Mutalisks. And HayPro did okay in that fight, and we can see he's still way up in the food count. 190 food to the 112 of Mana, but Mana currently winning definitely in the upgrade war, and he is on 3 bases. A lot of Zerg strategies will focus on just denying that 3rd base, just because once a Protoss gets to 3 bases, he's really scary to deal with. So a lot of Zerg builds will focus on denying this 3rd. But because Mana went in with that Warp Prism early, did all that damage in here, that completely messed up HayPro's build and allowed Mana to get this Nexus up and running. So Mana now in an absolutely okay spot. Despite him being way down in food count, he is actually in an okay spot. We do see that the forces of HayPro are now moving in here, and oh, Psystorm doing so much damage. Again, HayPro is way up in the food count, but we have to remember that all these Mutalisks are really low right now, and oh no, those Psystorms going down all over those Mutalisks. Look at how fast those drop. Just 3 Psystorms brought HayPro down from 175 to 130 food, and all these Mutalisks are so low right now that, see, he's really not up that much in food. It looks like it. It looks like he's up in food, but because all of his units are just so low in health, it really isn't that high. His army is going to be effectively much lower. We do see that some Zealots were warped in here at the 4th base, and it looks like Mana was able to do more economic damage to his opponent. So far, 33 workers killed for Mana and 13 for HayPro. If we check out the Harvester count right now, we can see that HayPro is up right now, but he's had to use a lot more larvae into workers than he really would have wanted to, and now we can see that he is in a bit of a dangerous spot here as there are High Templar and Blink Stalkers bearing down. Beautiful Psystorm here going down by Mana as so much damage dealt to all of these Mutalisks, and these Mutalisks are falling so fast. They are +1/+1 right now. Zerglings are +1/+1 as well, but he's continuing to deny this base here, and Mana, I think might be okay here. He's going to be establishing his 4th base very shortly, continuing to warp in more Blink Stalkers, more and more High Templar as well, and now the Stalkers blinking forward. This is so hard to deal with on this map. Just because Mutalisks, while they can be very, very strong, jumping all by forcing your opponent to go all over the map against, say, like a Terran player will have a lot of siege tanks and things. Oh my god, it looks like HayPro is actually going to be able to pick off that Nexus. Yes, he does, as now he's going to just try to get out of there. I would actually almost like those Mutalisks to be coming into the main right now to try to deal lots of damage there, but they are currently off dealing with maybe more Warp Prism Harass. Did I miss more Warp Prism Harass, or were those Mutalisks just way out of position? I am not sure, but what was I saying before that? I don't even remember what I was saying before that. Oh, God, I really want to remember what I was saying, because I feel like it was really important, but I can't remember what it was, so we're going to continue on with this game. Mana continuing to get up lots and lots of Stalkers. These Stalkers are currently 3-1 in upgrades, more and more Warp Prisms being produced here by Mana. All these Mutalisks now coming around the back, going to try to go in here, but it looks like it is going to be the absolute wrong time to do it, as all these Stalkers and High Templar are now moving into the bases of HayPro, moving forward to deal lots of damage, and there aren't a lot of Lings and Banelings here to do much damage. Beautiful Psystorms going down, doing so much damage to all these Lings and Banelings that are all now really, really low, and whoa! Check out that split there by Mana, as he managed to split up all of his Stalkers quite well against those Banelings, and now he's in a good spot. HayPro did do some economic damage there, brought his number of workers killed up. He got 20 workers killed there, which is a pretty good number of workers killed here, but this is a lot of Stalkers and an Archon that are now moving into the natural expansion here of HayPro. So much damage now being dealt, Infestors being killed as they pop out. Flyer Carapace +2 on the way as well as Burrow here. Now, we do see that lots of fungal growths now going down on these Stalkers and things, but will it be enough? I don't know if HayPro is actually going to be able to deal with this many forces here from Mana. So much damage being dealt. His Mutalisks are rushing back to deal with these forces, and I am getting some lag, but I think this Stalker force is going to be enough to take out HayPro here, as these Stalkers have just too strong upgrades. They are going to be blinking forward here, dealing lots and lots of damage. And I think that is going to force a GG here out of HayPro. Oh, God, that is devastating to see. Just because HayPro was doing so well in the early game, but that one big attack was just so well executed by Mana when he got that Warp Prism up into the main, was able to deal so much damage, and that really just put a hold on HayPro's entire build. Oh, and I just remember what I was going to say earlier about the Blink Stalkers. About the Blink Stalkers, I was going to say that a lot of times, say against a Terran player, siege tanks, marines, and things, their main army will be out here controlling the center of the map. So a lot of times you can send your Mutalisks around the back to try to deal damage to the main and the natural expansion. But in this case, because Mana went for these Blink Stalkers, he can keep his army positioned here, and if he needs to, he can just blink back up into the main. He can just blink back over to the natural. He can defend very, very easily, and he can take those 3 bases so much easier. So, for you Protoss players, on this map, get those darned Blink Stalkers. They're so good at defending all 3 of your bases, which are very, very close together if you have Blink. If you don't have Blink, notice if you didn't have Blink, your Stalkers have to come from here. They have to walk all the way down around here, go up this ramp, come all the way over here to be able to protect the mineral line. But if you got that Blink, you can blink very quickly between the 3rd and the main, and you can establish 3 bases very, very quickly. In this game, I think that Warp Prism harass up here that took out his lair as well as his spire is really, really what won Mana the game, and HayPro was just not quite able to come back from it. His tech was all just a little too slow after that, behind in upgrades, behind in tech. So, we're now going to be jumping into a ZVZ here by HayPro, so stick around, guys. One more game from HayPro coming up in just a moment.